The Salem witch trials began in Salem, Massachusetts, where belief in the supernatural and the devil was very common. In the spring of 1692, 9 young girls became ill after playing a game and starting behaving strangely. These 9 girls, later known as the Afflicted Girls, were Elizabeth Booth, Elizabeth Hubbard, Mercy Lewis, Betty Paris, Ann Pootman, Susanna Sheldon, Abigail Williams, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren. Reverend Samuel Paris, Betty Paris's father, called in a doctor after his daughter began experiencing strange symptoms. All of the girls experienced the same symptoms, which were suffering fits, contorting pain, and having a fever. A few of the girls accused 3 women of bewitching them. The women that were accused were Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba.
Tituba was a slave that worked for Reverend Paris. The 3 women were examined by local magistrates. While they were being examined, Osborne and Good claimed that they didn't do anything, but Tituba mentioned that the devil came to her and told her to serve him. All 3 of the women were taken to the jail. After the 3 were put in jail, citizens of Salem became paranoid of their neighbors. Many more people were brought in and questioned. In May 1692, the Special Court of Oyer and Terminer was established. The first case in the new court was for Bridget Bishop. Bridget defended herself by saying, "I am as innocent as the child unborn." Her defense failed and she was found guilty and was the first person to be hanged on Gallows Hills on June 10th.
Quickly, the witch hunt spread to other neighboring cities such as Amesbury, Ipswich, and Gloucester. One of the most pivotal cases was the case about Rebecca Nurse. Rebecca Nurse was a very well-known person in the community. Everyone liked her and said there was no way she was a witch. They even made a petition for her release, but it was unsuccessful. Initially, she was found not guilty, but when the Afflicted Girls started having fits in their courtroom, the jury reconsidered their verdict and found her guilty. She was hanged on July 19th, and the citizens of Salem began to question the trials. Many people in Salem didn't believe in witchcraft or support the trials.
One of the more gruesome executions of the trials was the one of Giles Corey. He was one of the few men accused of witchcraft. During his trial, he refused to plead guilty or not guilty, as either way he would lose his estate and money, leaving nothing for his children. The law at the time was that the accused could be tortured until they gave a plea, so Corey began to be pressed to death. A large wooden board was placed over his body, and larger stones were added until the victim gave a plea or died. Each time Corey was asked to give a plea, he responded with more weight. This lasted for 3 days in an open city field until he finally died on September 19th.
An important aspect of the trials was the use of spectral evidence, or the evidence based on dreams and visions. This was the most commonly used form of evidence during the trials, as it was very easy to fake. Accusers would often act as if they were being affected or possessed by the accused witches during the trials. The use of spectral evidence was declared inadmissible toward the end of September 1692. This slowed the amount of witch accusations. On September 22nd, 8 people were hanged, and those were the last executions of the trials. The 52 remaining prisoners were set free the next May.
The Salem witch trials lasted 1 year, from spring 1692 to the spring of 1693. More than 20 people were found guilty and executed during this time. Almost all of those executed were humans, but 2 dogs were shot and killed after being suspected of committing witchcraft. Years later, the family of the victims were financially compensated, the names of the condemned were restored, and some of the people involved in the trial apologized for their actions. The citizens in the town realized that the hysteria was irrational and moved onward.
What was the true case of the Salem witch trial hysteria? There are a few theories. One theory is that the Afflicted Girls ate rye bread that contained ergot, which is a chemical closely related to LSD. This caused them to hallucinate and go insane. However, this has been recently proven to be false. Another theory is that between 1680 and 1730, the temperature in Massachusetts colony dropped and caused a small economic failure. The town was mostly populated by merchants, so not much happened during the time.
The final and most likely theory is that the 9 girls were bored during a slow time in a sleepy town. They were introduced to witchcraft by Tituba, and they found it rather interesting. To amuse themselves, they began accusing other girls in town until it got out of hand. Their strange symptoms may have been psychological, and they faked having spasms in court to prove the accused guilty. The trials were mostly fake scams that killed innocent people using false spectral evidence.